Yes, indeed. Man, when you get a shirt you like, you really wear it to the bitter end, don't you?
You are absolutely true. I don't know if it's becoming more and more like of a mental disease, but I'll just wake up and see it and want to wear it again and again and again. And a gray crew neck is like my favorite. I had the Asbury Park one that's now threadbare, and the beautiful Channel Islands just had the perfect gray crew neck to pick right up where the other one left off.
I said shirt, but it's obviously a sweatshirt for anybody watching on YouTube.
Where do you feel about the crew neck versus the hooded sweatshirt?
I'm a big fan
Of which one though?
of the crew neck.
Yeah, me too. I'm so much a crew necker over a hood. I don't wear a hood. I don't need a hood. I think I've maybe put a hood over my head 4 times in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Here's my go-to right here. Crew
Look at
neck,
that
same color as
crew.
yours.
Yep.
In fact, it looks like Channel Islands and the Surfrider Foundation maybe use the same supplier.
They just might have. This is such a high quality crew neck sweatshirt. That one looks like one too.
I told you, remember this kangaroo little pocket situation on
Oh
the crew neck?
yeah.
I don't know if you can even see it in the camera, but it's pretty discreet. But I like having the front pockets on the crew neck sweater.
I like that too. Don't need the hood. Give me the pocket.
This is the Grit fashion segment, January 17th, 2024. Um, I noticed on the comments from last week's show, I got roasted for wearing a V-neck. People were like,
Oh,
"Oh, first Derek Riley, then Chaz, now David is wearing a V."
really? You
Yeah.
got roasted for wearing a V. How do you feel about the V-neck? Let's just keep on in our fashion.
Well, here's the thing. There's different types of V-necks. They fit differently. There's different depths, and so some of them work well, some of them don't. The one that I happened to be wearing last week was literally a pajama shirt that I wear. I mean, I don't think it was made as pajamas, but I wear it as pajamas. So it's not like I go out in public wearing it. I just wore it because I woke up. We recorded at a relatively early hour. I didn't think people were going to take it seriously.
Well, good that the people are holding us to account.
I, I kind of like it. I kind of feel like, yeah, we probably should step up our game. My only thought with YouTube was we record this podcast, why not publish the
Yeah.
visuals? And then I realized people actually go to YouTube as if it's a television show. Like that's replaced television for them. And so they expect a certain level of production quality, and we're clearly
Uh-oh.
not delivering it.
Uh-oh. I mean, man, I come out into my podcast jail. These days, I just sit on a pile of sleeping bags that we had a bunch of kids over here, like probably a month ago now, probably even more than a month ago, like a big old slumber party. So I rolled out all the sleeping bags in the little yoga room in the backyard and have yet to clean them up. So I just push them into a giant pile and sit upon them while podcasting.
Remember, well, you don't have to remember that far back, but we were doing ongoing segments about people milking the clock.
Yes.
Somebody emailed me one that I never ended up playing on air, but I replied to him because it jogged a memory for me, and you just jogged the same memory, which was my dad towards the end of his career. He's retired now, but towards the end of his career, he talked his company into letting him rent or letting him rent an office near our home. So he wasn't exactly working from home, but he would go down the street to an office, and he brought one other colleague with him and a secretary, I think. So it was just three of them in this office. No oversight, nobody checking in on him. And I would sometimes go meet him for lunch, and he had gotten a collection of those padded FedEx envelopes and created a little nest. And he could take a nap where it's like,
Perfect.
if he leaves for 2 hours, his colleague might notice. But if he just closes the door, there's no chance the colleague is going to knock on the door.
Knock.
If he actually invested in a cot, that would go noticed as well. If he brought a pillow in, that would go noticed. But those FedEx padded envelopes double as a pillow really, really well.
Smart man.
Yeah,
Smart man, your dad. That is a great usage of the padded FedEx envelope does feel good in my hand, but I never thought about actually laying down on it. But it basically is a camping mat.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same exact technology. Well, Chaz, I think I already said the date. Welcome back to the show. We need to remind people the belly up, man. Ticket. We just had a big increase in ticket sales the last 24 hours.
Wow.
So people are coming in hot at the last minute, and word is getting out. But I want to encourage you. We've got 4 sets of fins to give away from NVS Fins. We've got a couple of watches from Veyer that we're going to be giving away. I've got hats and t-shirts from Veyer. Um, Rusty said that he's going to bring surfboards. I was like, can you guys contribute a surfboard to give away? They're like, sure, but we'll do you one better. We have a few new models that we're introducing. I'm going to bring all of them. I think there's 4 of them. And the winner will get to select the one they want.
Whoa, I've never heard of such a fine thing at a live podcast.
I know. How crazy is that?
Totally crazy.
So he recorded a video last night. I think they're going to publish it today. Probably, I think they said 10 o'clock. They'll collaborate you and I in it. So just accept that collaboration when it comes
Man,
through.
I sometimes accept those collaborations way late. It is my embarrassing usage of social medias.
Yeah. Well,
I'll be
this,
on this one.
okay. Yeah. And obviously for listeners, if you want to see the boards, Rusty's going to be on Instagram explaining it. So we're going to give that away on Tuesday randomly to one lucky audience member, along with all that other merch. So there's probably going to be like 10 winners. I've got the Beavis and Butthead stickers already made. I'm going to pick those up on Tuesday on my way down. Are we going to dress like Beavis and Butthead on Tuesday?
Man, we had a another famous San Diego area surfer really threw the gauntlet down, said, "You won't, you won't." Uh, and I was thinking, you're right, we won't. This is a classy affair.
It was Rob
Like,
Machado.
yeah, Rob
There's no
Machado.
reason not to say.
No, Rob
Um,
Machado was doubting that we would, but I was thinking, no, you're right, Rob, we will not, because it's funny. That's a funny joke, but is that funny enough to really play through on for an entire evening?
for the entire evening. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious. It would be funny to show up as, but it would also fly in the face of so many barrel or Nas that you have, cemented in our legacy. You can't play dress
shorts.
up, basically.
Yeah, I know. You can't go. You can't be ironic. You can't wear shorts as a man. There's so it goes on and on and on.
Dressing up for this event would definitely break, I don't know, break your character.
Yeah,
Um, a fly in the face of everything you said. So the other detail we need to follow up on. So yeah, Belly Up, go get tickets, bellyyup.com or surfsplendorpodcast.com. It's Tuesday the 21st. $25 tickets. It's really reasonable for what's going to be a great show. And it's really community focused. Obviously, Rusty's coming out to be on stage with Taylor Knox, Jojo Roper, discuss. I've got an outline, but honestly, we'll throw the outline aside. If you, the audience, has questions, things that you want to know, shout them out. We will build the evening around you.
it's the whole entire show has been built around you from the get.
Yeah, totally. And Sherman's coming out. Sherm's going to shoot photos of you as well, the audience. So come get your photo taken. I've got a step and repeat. So if you want to take Instagram photos, post and tag us on there.
Don't take
Um,
TikTok photos though; those will go right in the trash.
well, that won't be available, right, by Tuesday,
I mean 19th, I think, is when the official close date is.
which is Sunday. So
Yeah.
yeah, won't be available.
Oh, oops.
Natural selection, Chaz, you were cagey and you couldn't spill the beans, but Stab Magazine unfortunately did the job for you and
Ooh, good job, Stab.
posted a little teaser. Did you read it or see what they said?
Nope, I saw the headline, but I did not have the energy to click.
Sounds like an epic event. And I know you can't say much, but apparently the video is going to be published in late February. So we will see what took place then.
Yes, it'll be, I think I have the exact date, but I can't remember. It is, yeah, end of February. I think it's over 2 days. There was a like opening round and then a finals day. And yeah, speaking of Rob Machado, just ran down to him in the Seaside parking lot, not the surf break, but the market. Uh, and he had seen some stuff too, and we had a cagey discussion amongst ourselves. It's really good.
So it looks like, well, I know Gerlach was the head judge of the thing. So he was there. And the thing that Stab did publish was 5 people competing in the event said they got the waves of their life during this
Yep.
event.
I've seen some of them and won't oversell, but yeah, it'll be definitely worth a tune in. I think it'll blow people's minds.
Amazing. And it's so the other thing that the article talked about was this was funded by investors. It was a huge investment just because of the quality of the video production. The people, the video production crew, the media company is really high quality. So it's an expensive production, but it looks like they might be able to court sponsors and brands to support the project before it goes public. So maybe the idea all along was, let's put the money up front, film the thing. We will have this incredible asset, and then we can, you know, cover the expenses before we publish.
I will say a great thing about natural selection. I get to, walk through rooms when all of this is being discussed perpetually. There's long phone calls always, or yeah, meetings or whatever professional people do on the internet. But so I walk through and listen. The entire thing of natural selection, from the snow side to the mountain bike to the surf, all of it, it's let's do stuff and figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. But I'm always impressed with the drive to let's just do it. Let's do it. And then, it's not okay, let's make sure it's perfect. Let's make sure all the boxes are ticked. And not to say that it's not a professional. I mean, you'll see the surf one will be as professional as it comes. The snowboarding one is obviously epic. The mountain biking one, if anybody has not seen that yet, is amazing too. Uh, but yeah, it's just wanting to do it for the sake of doing it more than anything else almost.
I think it's a reflection of the people who are doing it are at a point in their career where they can do that. They have enough, whether it's their own resources or just being able to leverage their position in their career to get the resources. And that's a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, they are white knuckling 99.9% of the time on all of it, but it always gets done. It's like, I mean, I think it's representative of Travis Rice's personality in general. Of it is white knuckle, but at the end you come through.
Yeah. You need the talent and the ability, but yeah, having that kind of unwavering faith in yourself, investing in yourself, knowing
Yeah,
that you will follow through, I think is pretty awesome.
yeah.
Okay, let's go to the Weekend Vans business report slash gossip column slash surf news segment, which is increasingly shorter every week.
Man, I mean, yeah, well, let's get right into it. But real quick before we do, I've been stunned lately, shocked by how little surf news, gossip, whatever there is. Like, I'll dig for myself, and then I'll go like look at Stab and see like the best they have is what Kenworthy has a swoosh on her board or something like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like bottom of the barrel surf gossip slash news slash underground stuff, whatever. Nothing's happening.
I've got a theory.
Okay.
I think there's as much happening as there always has been, but you and I mean, any of us who have been doing it for over a decade, you lose your steam. It's kind of like, do you really care about all of this stuff that you used to care about? And so if those people at Stab who are, who have been doing it that long, you've been doing it that long, there's nobody coming up underneath that has the same kind of training and drive to tell those stories anymore.
I feel like Stab is always hiring like younger writers to come in to replace the ones that they can't afford anymore or whatever is going on at Stab. And so I feel those guys do. Like when I read the is it Bella Kenworthy who has a swoosh on her board, whoever it is, Sierra Kerr, I don't know who it was. Somebody, maybe it was Kerr.
Yeah, I think it
Uh
was Kerr.
but I read the thing and I was like, I couldn't be for like this is so bad. Like the writing wasn't bad and the story is, whatever. But I was just thinking this is a low watermark. And if this is the best that the young dude at Stab is digging up, then honestly, I do believe there's not much out there right now. I feel Gabriel Medina's ripping his peck is about the most interesting news since Gabriel Medina went viral for kicking out a wave at Chopu.
Yeah. All right. Well, you nailed it. In surf news this week, Gabe Medina rips a peck. The Dahui backdoor shootout wraps up. I've got Malibu Fire stuff that I'll go into a little bit more detail. But let's start with the Dahui backdoor shootout. The main thing I want to know is, did you hear Eddie's rant?
No, I missed Eddie's rant. Dang it. When did Eddie's rant come?
Um, in the final, um, it was I wish I just cut the audio so I could play it for you now. It's almost not worth playing, to be honest. Eddie rants about all of his grievances, basically, about permits that get pulled from them, political backstabbing in Hawaii, how the white man doesn't ever help them out in any way. And then they need something done. So they call in to Hui to come in and fix everything, but only when they need it. And they so and so down. There's only 5 families anymore that live in Sunset Beach area, 5 original families. Everybody else has been priced out, but one of the families had a food truck, a Thai food truck in the yard, and then the city came over and revoked that because there wasn't a permit. So now the guy can't make a living anymore, and the white man's taking over everything basically. And he goes, "I know I'm white, but I'm being, I know I'm not Hawaiian and I'm white, but I'm being, forced out to or whatever." Um, it was during the final. It was one they should have been calling waves, but Eddie just basically went on this 5 minute tirade. And then at the end said, "I don't know if all of this is going to make it to air." And the guy who's holding the mic goes, "No, we're live. We're live right now." And then Eddie's like, "Oh, well, if I offended anybody, good. I'm glad I did."
Yeah, I love Eddie Rothman. Give me an Eddie rant any day over talking about waves. I can watch waves with my own eyes. I can see what's happening, but I can't get into the mind of Eddie unless he opens his beautiful mouth. I love Eddie Rothman. I've
I
sat through
had,
so many Eddie rants. I mean, just me and Eddie alone. I've gotten personal to me Eddie rants. Take that.
what are your, so I'll tell you my thoughts, and then you tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Listening to it, I'm like, dude, this is the epitome of the guy who's kind of an asshole and then gets later in life and can't figure out why nobody invites him to the party anymore.
Uh, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Eddie's been on the same beef for a long. These aren't like just beefs that come up and he's not dude shouting at clouds. It's not the next passing thing that he's screaming about. He's been mad about this permit issue, about the government in Honolulu, about issues affecting like the longtime residents on the North Shore. And I think people could say, well, of course, obviously, Eddie, you're a transplant. You flew in from Philly via Texas, and now here you are, blah blah blah. But Eddie always, I mean, as he said at the end of the rant, always makes full disclosure of who he is. And truly, Eddie Rothman works real hard and is real vocal for people who don't have a voice, for the native community there who won't get a fair shake no matter what, right? And so I will fully give Eddie any bit of grace for hammering at the powers that be all he wants. Go get him, Eddie Rothman.
But do you think he's doing potentially more harm than good, considering his style and delivery?
No, I think he's a fly in the ointment and a squeaky wheel and all of that stuff, which again gets the grease, right? Like I think if Eddie was a smooth talker, I mean, sure, maybe there's another way to go about it to money and finagle and whatever, but that's not, those people aren't there. Those people are the ones trying to rip off the North Shore residents as the slick ones, the smooth operators.
I,
Eddie
I
is
think
not a smooth operator. He is a blunt instrument. And I think blunt instrument is better than just silence.
I think that's how I feel at the end of it all too, is just um it would be somebody else take it would be slick corporate, billionaires basically taking over slowly and with a smile on their face, doing it
Exactly.
subversively.
It'd
And
be
so I like him doing what he's doing. And then specific to the backdoor shootout, it comes with a lot of kind of, we could criticize it as much as we do the WSL stuff, but I accept that it is what it is. And I almost don't want them to make any of these minor improvements because it's just a great event. It's like, you guys keep doing you, don't change anything. It's a futile effort to even try to design a perfect contest format, to be honest. And so you guys just doing it the way you do it, it's a great event.
I mean, the backdoor shootout, I feel what they really nail is who cares who wins, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They make who's winning so obscure and difficult to figure out, which is like I still don't know. I'm a surf journalist. I have zero idea. Is Koa Rothman's award better than Team Japan win? Is it better to win as a team, or is your individual thing better? Like it's not about that at all. Like it's hard to even suss out what is what. I mean, it's a great to win and all that, but I feel backdoor shootout, you just get to watch the best pipe specialists in the world try to outdo each other technically on that wave, that's why I'm watching.
And that's what a contest should be. It's a get together for everybody to celebrate, have a good time, and get waves without the crowd. And so you're right, that is what they nail. And in the end, it is kind of nice to be able to say, man, this team or this guy outdid everybody else, but it's definitely not the point of the contest.
Well, and I think that the people who really matter, the judges who really matter in that contest are all the competitors. They all know. They're the ones out at Pipeline every day. Each one of those guys know who, you know, rode the best either that heat, that day, or across the whole event. But yeah, back to Eddie's ranting. Give me more. I would so much rather have Eddie speaking what he feels passionately is the truth about these issues rather than an Eric Logan coming in and smiling and saying one thing and doing the exact opposite, right? And if I feel there's an uh Eddie as a creation is necessary in order to keep the Eric Logans at least retard their growth.
1000% agree with that. If you honestly had to pick, who do you want running something in surfing, Eddie or Eric? Eddie times 10.
Times a trillion with even with all of the whatever issues there's going to be in that, right? But times a billion even more.
Eddie is the manifestation. Eddie is like comes naturally through. He's just he's a reflection of I don't know what like Eric Logan's a creation of the kind of the worst parts of civilization. The way that society has evolved in the worst ways generate this guy who is really just never saying what's what, never telling the,
I think doesn't even know what the truth is, right? Is
exactly. Yeah,
so
yeah,
is
yeah.
so flim flammy in his insides that he has like you'd sit him down and there's like it's honestly a void. There is no moral principle guiding it.
Where's the money coming from? Who's getting paid? What's the objective? What's the company trying to do? What's, like, I don't know any of it. There's
Yeah.
10, 30 spreadsheets and all these charts and what I have no idea. Eddie, it's crystal clear as day. This is the objective. This is what we're doing. Get the F out of the way.
Did he rant about? I mean, because I think Welcome to Paradise now is a 2014. It's either 10 or 11 years old at this point. But Eddie back in those days was really I don't think I wrote about it that much this part, but was really really pissed about them taking the Duke contest and like taking the permit of that. So that would like the Duke contest, which it's Dewey backdoor shootout, isn't it in memory of the Duke
Yeah,
Invitational,
yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
Uh, which it took me a long time to piece together what that beef was, but I finally figured it out, right? Like the Hawaiians had an actual surf contest for themselves and that got wrecked by bad politics. And I think probably, I don't know who all was involved, but he was ranting furious about that back in the day, which I think is still part of his beef.
Yes, he does mention that. And he also mentions um, him being a founder of the Eddie event.
Yes.
He's like, me and Pop's Eye Cow, we're the founders. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody ever talks about that. But it was he and I who came up with the concept. My Eddie's getting good. I haven't
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
practiced it.
Oh, right. I mean, you hear a good Eddie rant and it can slip right in. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
fucking
That's the
guy,
thing.
the fucking guys.
But yeah, he did say the Duke thing. He's like, the Hui backdoor shootout is to honor the Duke,
Yeah.
and um, nobody and the people he names the other thing that he does great is he calls people out by name. So he names
Yes.
the exact politicians who pulled a permit or whatever and says, do you ever hear them mentioning Duke or honoring Duke in any way? No. And
Yeah.
that's what we're here to do. So
But
yeah, if
yeah,
we can.
I mean, to tie it back around just to Eric. So Eddie's been ranting on the same stuff for 10 years. Eddie has a principled stake in this stuff. And again, whether you agree with him or disagree, whether you like the delivery or not, Eddie has believed this for ever since I've known him. It's been the same things that are he's just furious about. So good on him.
There you go. Gabriel Medina is out, and the bummer for me with this is the Gabe and John John rivalry could have been the greatest thing since Andy and Kelly.
Yep.
And John John was out with injury multiple years when Gabriel was winning his titles. And I feel like now Gabriel has been sidelined either through divorce or issues with his dad or stepdad, and now injury when John John is at the peak. And it's almost like two ships passing in the night.
Are we sure that John is going to compete on the tour
No,
this year, though?
no.
Yeah, I mean that's what I still wonder. He hasn't said anything. He John is clearly surfing as good or better than he's ever surfed in his life, but I don't hear any whispers about if he's going to be on tour or not.
Well, you haven't heard any whispers that he isn't going to be on tour, right?
Yeah, he was cagey, let's say, cagey at the end of last year's tour. And then I think middle way through in an interview, he sort of hinted that his heart might not be all the way there yet.
I heard whisperings, and I think the person even said, "Don't say this." So I can't say where, what portion of the industry or what this person does, but I did hear whisperings, and he didn't know for sure. He just goes, "Look, I'm involved in this way, and A plus B isn't in place, and so I don't know how C is going to come to fruition, basically." But he's like, "I don't know. Maybe it will happen. Maybe he will compete, but it seems like maybe he's going to be taking time off."
So if and we lose John and Gabriel, both Gabriel obviously injured, John choosing, but both in their prime, both the prime surfers in their prime, gone from the tour. How much does that affect interest in the tour? Which I'll be curious. Sometimes before the tour starts, like this lag between, finals day back in September and now the restart of the tour in late January, that amount of time in between there, I'm like, I don't care about professional surfing at all. Did I ever? I can't believe we ever once mentioned a heat or a victory or that I watched heats and victories. But then sometime, it'll start and I'll think, oh, okay, back on. This is fun.
Yeah, I think it tremendously erodes interest. And let's not forget they lost Kelly Slater as well. Kelly Slater's the biggest draw um, for the public's eyes. So I don't know, a year ago or something, I was having a talk with Scott Bass, and he made the argument like, no, they just manufacture new stars. Like they just start shining a light on Griffin Colapinto or whatever.
No.
And I think I like accepted when he said that, but I've thought about that a lot. And I thought in the past year, and I'm like, you know what? That's not true. Like, there's no amount of limelighting that they can do as the WSL to generate interest in me. The surfers themselves become celebrities through it factor and us just loving watching them surfing. And then the WSL benefits from that glow. And so, they can't, there's no way that they can shine as bright of a light as possible on Liam O'Brien to make me feel like Liam O'Brien is going to be the next superstar. He's a great surfer, just doesn't have, quote, it.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, that it factor is essential across anything, right? From movies to music to whatever. If you don't have that thing, then you're never going to be famous, quote unquote, or draw that same attention. I'm curious though. Okay, the biggest storyline is gone. What storyline could you become interested in? I mean, obviously there's Filipe being a giant sissy, which is a fun storyline for everyone to watch, I feel, every year. Like, is Filipe actually going to paddle on a wave that even has remote consequence this year? But in competition, would you be interested in like a Filipe Colapinto back and forth, like them really going after each other at the top?
I am because I'm interested in watching good surfing, but that's where it caps out. And there's no, the WSL trying to become a sporting league that draws eyeballs and I don't know, I don't know what, like a bunch of spin-off shows that discuss it ad nauseum, like you and I do. That's never going to happen because there's only so many people that care about the tiny, tiny difference between Felipe and Griffin surfing El Salvador. I
Yeah.
care about that. Not a lot of other people do. So I still want to watch how Ethan Ewing performs this year, what Jack Robinson does. There's 5 to 10 guys who I'm very interested to watch, and probably 5 to 10 girls now as well. But it's just not going to break through to any larger scale in the way
Yeah. I
that
mean,
Kelly Slater could break through in the 90s and the 2000s.
I mean, I'm just wondering though, part of me wonders is the WSL now has been doing this since 2015, right? And they've had bad false starts and made really silly moves and all of this. But I just wonder if the inertia, and not the inertia as the website, but just this thing just sitting there, if people just do, more and more people are tuning in just by nature of it being around longer, and more people understanding it. And they're going to lose their TikTok now, which is going to be a bummer. But, aside from that, just the audience is growing. I'm curious about that just by virtue of it being a thing for now almost 10 years or 10
It's
years.
possible. It's possible. It's just not going to grow in the exponential way that they had hoped for it to grow. It's going to grow incrementally. And my old man complaint is that Italo is the spokesperson. Like Italo becomes the poster boy because he's an embarrassment to me. Just, I mean, I don't even need to say more than that. But his style of surfing, his style of kind of presentation on the internet just is cringy to me. And so that's a bummer, but it is what it is. And so maybe surfing diverges into there's Marvel movies over here, that's the WSL, and then there's independent films over here, and that's
The
what I
Hui
watch.
backdoor shootout.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm curious, I was just having something I was curious about, but maybe I wasn't that curious because I
Something
just
about
forgot.
Italo.
It was pre-Italo. Oh, here's what it was. I wonder if there was light depression. I mean, I don't think any WSL employees allow them to feel many sad feelings, or else they would probably be sad a lot. But I wonder if there was disappointment, we'll say. Surfing in the Olympics, biggest stage. Well, the whole event wasn't epic, but Epic Day produces the viral moment or one of the viral moments of the Olympics, right? Like that, how can you get a better advertisement for professional surfing than that day at Chopu? Yeah. And if that doesn't materialize,
Yeah.
any spike in where and it didn't feel like the WSL leaned into it at all. It wasn't, I mean, I'm sure they tried early, but there should have been a direct, okay, this is it. Let's ride this thing. If there was nothing to ride, then what hope is there for any growth? If you can't break through on the in the biggest international sporting event and you got it, again, the whole event obviously wasn't good, but you had it good that day and you had the viral image of the games. If that doesn't work, what works?
Yeah. I think they did have those meetings and they literally used the cliche, how do we ride this wave of
Precisely.
popularity? And that's where the meeting ended.
I mean, and I think that I don't know that there is a wave of popularity in watching competitive professional surfing. Although we've had them call into the show or write in the non-surfing surf fan, which I never thought existed, but so maybe it is working.
Yeah. I'll be watching Pipe. I'm watching, like you said, the Filipe storyline, of course. I'm curious how Filipe even returns this year. Like, is he a threat at a world title level? Um,
If he paddles out at pipe, and it's good pipe, and he refuses to go, I reckon that'll be it for Filipe. I reckon it'll be another mental year break, and he'll leave. It'll be I can't do this.
yeah. But back to the idea of the Gabriel and John rivalry never ever getting a foothold, despite them being at the top of their games during this same decade. Um, if they're both out, it does put an asterisk next to whoever wins the title this year.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like a dominant performance by a Jack Robinson or somebody who could on any given day take out either John or Gabriel.
But they can't. Like that's the thing is I'm going to have a question mark in my head whether they can or can't.
But I think if Jack Robinson just goes out and swings for the fences and is just deep barrels at pipe, it'll depend on how he's surfing. But you could look at that and say that would have beaten or could have beaten John or Gabe on any given day.
No, I
You're
won't
not
say that.
you're gonna asterisk it.
I totally will because I think you're right. He could have a dominant performance over every other competitor on tour, but I know what John can do. I know what Gabe can do, and I want to see him do it against him.
The bummer is time keeps on a ticking. And so this year lost, I mean, if the year lost for Gabe is a whole year out of his competitive prime, where I don't see him coming back, I mean, he's going to come back not quite the vintage Gabriel of like 2 or 3 years ago.
I know. It's a bummer, man. Well, the other thing I wanted to discuss was obviously these Malibu fires. Everybody has seen them in the news, just absolute devastation over such a vast geographic swath. So many people affected, but there's a number of iconic surf community members who lost their homes and everything. Lance Carson, the original Gidget, um, Jimmy Z lost his house. Um, Really, really crazy. This, I think, came from a Derek Riley story about George Trafton. And he said, in addition to losing his house on the Pacific Coast Highway and everything inside of it, first responders found George Trafton early last Wednesday morning, staggering down the side of Pacific Coast Highway, severely burned and most of his clothes incinerated. So it's like he was in the fire, stumbled out, and was just walking down the highway. And thankfully, first responders found him. But he goes on to say, although he survived, Trafton is now at the Grossman Burn Center undergoing skin grafts on much of his body.
Yeah, I mean it's such an unbelievable tragedy, and especially that part of Malibu. I mean, for our small little corner of the world, it's iconic, right? And there's so many iconic people either started there or went there. But you can't, I mean, that part of Malibu and surf that is surf history.
I said Derek Riley wrote that article. It was actually Peter McGuire. And he also references, gives a little history of Jimmy Z, Jimmy Ganzer. I'm embarrassed to admit this. Maybe everybody knew this detail. I did not. Jimmy Z was the inspiration for the dude in The Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
That is such a cool, cool
So cool.
tie-in.
So cool. Did you ever have a Jimmy Z t-shirt growing up?
Yeah, yeah, dude. I
Love
loved
that
Jimmy
Jimmy
Z when I
Z
was a kid.
t-shirt. Yeah, me too. Woody?
I I had a Jimmy Z skateboard. I had all sorts of Jimmy Z stuff. It went
Yeah,
away pretty early in my childhood, but it was amazing.
it was real cool. I'm surprised that I mean, I think all those ones that try to relicense and then relaunch based on nostalgia, I haven't seen any of those work yet. Like I was
Mm.
excited for Gotcha's try to redo it, and I feel it fell completely flat.
I think it was a little half-hearted.
Yeah, I mean the stuff like I saw an early collection. I was like, yeah, this is all this is what the people are gonna want. This is like, make it retro, but also make it new. What would, Michael Thompson was such a forward thinking guy. So get some forward thinking fashion back in here. But no, it was just like a couple crummy t-shirts and that was it.
Well, somebody, I forget who it was, reached out to me and they were like, dude, we'd love the show. Like, we'd love to sponsor the grit with Gotcha, And I'm like, epic. That would be such a
Yeah,
great tie-in. And they're like, we don't really have any money.
yeah,
I'm like, well, I mean, we'll take some clothing, but
yeah,
the way this works is you pay for advertising. But so I think it was just kind of underfunded and
yeah.
underplanned.
Bummer.
Um, I would not want to get in the clothing business personally. It
My
is
goodness.
such a nightmare. Everybody I know who's ever worked in it is just losing money over and over until you hopefully eventually push through.
Yeah.
The other really, really kind of crazy story out of the Malibu thing is Malibu local and surf and just kind of all around legend, Randy Mayad, who had a house right across from PCH, who's a really iconic red. I think they called it the Crab Shack. So his Crawdaddy was his nickname. Randy Mayad passed away and in the fire itself. And he was a local who just surfed there his whole life. Kind of everybody knew he was, had an open door policy at his house. So if you're surfing Malibu and you need a place, you need to shower, you need to change, you need a snack, it was like an open door, welcomed anybody in, and iconic figure in Malibu. And he had gone through a lot of these fires before. The local news did a story on him, and in that they said that he had a phone conversation with his mom. They interviewed his mom, and his mom
Yep.
said, I had a call with him earlier that day, and basically Randy said they're forcing evacuations, but they always do that, and I never leave. I stay here and I protect my house with a water hose, basically. And I've been through this a dozen times before. I'm staying. I'm not going to evacuate. And ultimately, uh, he died in the fire. And it's when you read it, kind of the medical. I don't think I put it in my notes, but the medical report I guess I was always confused about like how would you die in a fire? Couldn't you just run away?
Yeah.
But I think that it um the fumes and all that sort of stuff create some sort of a effect on your brain and your reasoning to where you're not actually consciously making decisions like you would otherwise. And so by the time it gets that close, you're kind of ine inebriated, for lack of a better term. And so you don't think to run and it overwhelms you. And then there's like the thermal kind of heating of your insides, which debilitate you further. So you can't necessarily run as fast as maybe you would. And that's how people find themselves in that situation.
I mean, and I think it's honestly, it's not like a campfire, right? It's so hot, the intensity which those things burn, like can melt your skin from, you know, far away.
Yeah, so you see that it's far away and you think you have time, but if it's that close, it starts having those effects on your body, and then you're actually debilitated enough to where you can't get out.
Yeah, it's a real huge tragedy. I mean, the loss for all of those people, that entire region, is going to be years upon years upon years of recovery and just the memories and stuff. Whose house was it? Oh, I mean, not surf related, but Billy Crystal's house burned down, and I read some story about an actor saying, it's not just his house was a museum, right? His house had all of this memorabilia or Hollywood golden age, whatever he had in there, all of that gone forever.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. He purchased that house in 1979.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how much you would amass during that period of time.
Man, I mean, and just, yeah, the surf history lost, all the boards cooked, like it's wild.
For Jimmy Z, I was thinking that too. Like he has to have,
Tons of stuff.
yeah, total museum. Groat Surfboards on Instagram also. I didn't mention, but Skip Ingblom from the Dogtown era and film lost his home as well. And so Groat Surfboards posted something last night, and they said Skipper lost his home in the fire. He doesn't want to go fund me, but wants to sell some surfboards to help him get back on his feet. And
Okay.
so I'm producing Santa Monica Airlines fun hogs for him, and I can take your orders. 100% of the profits will go to Skip and his wife. Message me for prices or deposits, and let's do this. So, Skipping Long Surfboards produced by Groat Surfboards on Instagram. If you want a new surfboard, it'll go directly towards getting them back on their feet.
Good on Growth Surfboards.
I
That's
know,
like taking one, man, and doing the work and not getting paid for it. Good on him.
totally. Um, Let me see. Where do we go? I've got, oh, I know where I want to go. Don't say gay.
Oh, yes. Do we got one?
We do. Everybody's favorite news segment, DLS and Chaz.
We
Happy
need
New Year.
we need to get a brave and bold sponsor to underwrite the Don't Say Gay segment. Brought to you by which company would be bold
Solento
enough?
Tequila?
Oh, Salento, are you feeling spicy?
I am,
Yeah.
personally. Happy New Year. Hope your family and the SS family had a great Christmas and New Year. Love the Don't Say Gay segment. It's quickly become my favorite part of the grit and maybe the best thing that you and Chaz have ever come up with. Lots of worthy submissions, but to bring it back to the core, I'm going to give you this story. Over the Chrissy break, my brother was staying at my place for his annual visit. This is a guy that used to surf 3 or 4 times a week, but after a move in interstate for love a few years back, now he only gets out a few times a year. It's been a hot Christmas this year. I think he's in Australia.
Aussies.
Yeah.
So once you call it Chrissy, you know that it's either Australia or NZ.
Yeah, so it's been a hot Christmas this year with temps up in the 45 degrees Celsius range on a few days. And this took place on a score. This particular story took place on a scorcher. My brother had loaded boards in the van quickly and unceremoniously in an effort to escape the chaos of a full house of holidaying relatives. We drove around for a while looking for a good bank and a car park. Now, his wife came along for a drive, planning to go on a walk on the beach while we got a few waves. My brother began to change, and I unloaded the boards. It was at this moment I realized he had stacked them deck to bottom, no bags, no towels in between, and no air conditioning. The
Ooh.
horror. I grabbed my board, and the next one moved with such a. I grabbed my board, and the next one moved with it with such a messy, viscous mess. Upon inspection, the bottom of the board looked like a close up shot of the moon. Thanks for the effing Chinese wax job, dude. I ribbed him with the disdain only an older brother can muster. To watch his wife, a lifetime non surfer, Or to which his wife, a lifetime non-surfer, glared at me with disgust. I didn't unpack it at the time, just casually changed the subject. Nice day for a beach walk, huh? It's worth noting that she is not Chinese or in any way Asian, but she is, however, a part of a minority group who has experienced racism in her life. My understanding of the term Chinese wax job is that it relates to the wax being on the other side of the board, similar to the way that China is on the other side of the world. Not racist, just silly, akin to thinking that the earth is flat, right? So I offer this to the annals of Don't Say Gay, the term Chinese wax job. Discuss work, DK.
Haven't we discussed this one specifically?
Long before we ever introduced the segment of Don't Say Gay, but
Okay.
it's come up organically years ago.
Okay, so here we go. My take as a linguist. The Chinese are a dominant and growing force on this earth. They are rich. It is a powerful nation. It has a bunch of stuff going for it, right? Therefore, it is okay to be lightly racist against superior civilizations or civilizations in their prime. For example, hard to be offended if you make, white people jokes, right? Or if you're offended that something is racist, if somebody calls what's a good like white bread joke?
Cracker.
Yeah, or that, yeah, or what, like specifically related to doing something, right? Like that is such a white way to do that thing. You are, you
Live,
know,
laugh, love.
whatever, all that stuff. Any prods at white people you got to take because white people have been a dominant cultural institution. And I'm going to put the Chinese in the same boat. If they get offended, they're big old babies. You guys are dominant. What are you talking about? You have like a trillion person army and all the biggest or whatever, third, whichever biggest economy you are in the world, all this stuff. So you cannot be offended. Not allowed. Chinese wax job, go.
It's an interesting take because because the Chinese population in America is not benefiting from all of those things that you're talking
They're
about
crushing it. Look at
necessarily.
like the amount of Chinese nationals or Chinese Americans in Harvard and Princeton, and they're top of like test scores everywhere, getting into the best schools, getting high paying jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like nothing against the Chinese. I'm just saying you guys are dominant. If we were calling this a who's a put upon people these days, well, let's call it a
Hispanic migrants.
yeah, Hispanic migrant wax job. Oh man, look at that. Shoddy Hispanic migrant wax job or a Palestinian wax job. Ah, you and your Palestinian wax job. I'd say offensive. Let's steer clear. Chinese, you guys are too dominant. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Take it as a badge of honor that we can be lightly racist towards you.
I kind of agree with your sentiment. But also, I don't think that Chinese wax job was ever racist in the first place.
I mean, I
I
hear
think we
the
got
other
to,
side of the world. That's what we talked about last time, right?
yeah,
But
which I don't know. I guess that's the only logical explanation for why we call it a Chinese wax job is that it's on the other side of the board. That's not a very good explanation. I feel like the term, there's got to be a better explanation than that.
I mean, I feel it is saying somebody who has never surfed, that's what they would do to a board, right? And so using Chinese
Interesting.
as placeholder for a group who doesn't know anything about surfing, uh, and that's why it's a Chinese wax job.
I think that's a better explanation then. If there at the time there was no awareness of Chinese surfers, it's just like
Yes,
these people would never even know what to do with a surfboard, so they'd wax the
yes,
bottom of it.
precisely. And that's
That's what
like,
it is.
and I think people are vaguely aware of skiing and waxing skis or wax making things go faster or
Yeah, yeah,
glide.
yeah.
I think people are not aware generally of wax being a sticky adhesive substance for your feet. So I feel that it's the general Chinese used as placeholder for people who know nothing about this specific thing.
Got to the bottom of that one then. Uh,
But I,
I still don't think it's offensive. I think we got to a point where just saying a nationality is offensive somehow. Just using the word Chinese, or using the word Mexican, all of a sudden you're like, no, they're people too. And it's like, well, of course they're people. They're Mexican people or they're Chinese people, you know?
I'm gonna say though, I'm gonna posit this as a rule. If you dominate in
Yeah.
something, you are not allowed to be offended. For example, like Italians or French, like a French shower. Isn't that the, I mean, it's come up as a Puerto Rican shower before, but the using perfume instead of actually water to clean yourself or to not smell. I've heard
Yeah.
it, I think I've heard it as the French shower before, which cannot be. If you, as a French person, are offended by that, then you're not allowed to be. I'm sorry about it. You guys dominate at too much. You do too much good food, too much good. You're too culturally dominant to get offended about being poked for being, something French.
So then how do you feel about Jewish jokes about their being cheap or
Uh, I'm gonna
miserly?
s- I'm gonna say that's a no-go because you're talking about ethnicity, not nation. So China, talking about China, right? I feel. Uh, France, you're talking about France. White, I'm still gonna just say you can tee off on white people all day. There's nothing. If a white person is ever offended for being called white or being then that's on you. You go spine, get, man up, sort yourself out. Uh, Making fun of minorities that are not, if you like, I think we can make fun of Israelis for stuff. Uh, as a nation, I think you can make fun of Israelis for a lot of stuff. To be quite frank, have you ever surfed with a group of Israeli surfers? Oh,
No.
you never have? You
No.
never run into a group of Israeli surfers?
I mean,
They're the
maybe I have. I
worst.
didn't, I never engaged them in conversation
You
to
would know
figure out.
they are bad surfers as a group. They're like
Um,
worse than Brazilians.
but Jewish is off limits
I think so.
Because Jews, the joke about the cheapness, as I mean, in Southern California, Jews are crushing it in Hollywood and other ways, and the cheapness relates to them actually attaining more wealth. And so that specific joke, I feel like you can get away with, but you're right, the Jews have been put upon in a million other ways, perhaps the
Yeah.
most.
Yes, and I think I would they or it would could be argued that lead those kinds of jokes about ethnicity. Again, I'm white, ethnicity, have at, but those kinds of jokes about ethnicity lead to an erosion, which then leads to them being, whatever, pogroms later.
Um, so we're keeping, for the record, Chinese wax job, you can still use it.
I think Chinese are too dominant as a both a cultural force, a economic force, a military force, all of it to be offended. They're not allowed to be offended.
All right.
So leave it.
DK, next time you see your brother's wife, play her this segment.
Yep.
You're in the clear. You can still use Chinese wax job, whether she gets offended or not.
Yeah, it's on her.
It is on her. She doesn't know. She doesn't
Yep.
know the inner workings of the surf world nor linguistics.
Yep.
I've got one that I thought of, not listeners submitted, and it's probably not worth an entire segment, so we'll squeeze it in here. Butt hurt.
Oh, yeah. What is butthurt? Is butthurt a anti-gay slur? There's
I
no
don't think
way.
so.
I don't
So,
think so either. But why would
uh,
your butt hurt?
okay, I think I came to this. I thought about it hard before while I was prepping the show, because I never liked it. Like when people would say it, I just thought it was like a stupid and lazy insult. And I don't even like the sound of it,
He's
butt
all
hurt.
butthurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it was butt hurt. I
Bad.
just feel like there's a better way to describe
Yeah.
somebody who's behaving a certain way. But now that I thought through the etymology of it, I kind of like it more. And what I think it is when a kid gets spanked. So the term itself is about being unjustifiably offended, right? Or like overly unjustifiably offended. Like, oh, your butt hurt over that. It's no big deal, kind of a thing.
Yes.
So what I think the etymology is, if a kid gets spanked, they start crying and like it actually hurt. It doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? Like your butt is all padded, you're wearing clothes, so there's no sting. But if I spank Austin, he's going to overreact and cry. So I think it's a metaphor for social
Overreaction.
hypersensitivity. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. I like it. I like that uh folk etymology of it. That I was thinking about somebody who gets kicked in the butt hard, then that would hurt, and then they're just going to be jumpy and sensitive about stuff.
I mean, nobody gets kicked in the butt, really.
Yeah.
And then I thought as I was thinking through it, I'm like, well, does it have anything to do with like rape, like anal rape? Like, because
No,
that would definitely hurt, but that doesn't relate to the metaphor that we're using it. We're using it socially or emotionally, like, oh, you're overreacting to
overreacting.
something. Yeah. So, oh, you're all butthurt. That doesn't connect to that metaphor at
I
all.
like it. I
But it
like it.
relates to the kid overreacting from getting spanked, right?
I like it.
So now I like the term better.
Do you remember the story about I think it was Singapore, maybe the guy who spit out the gum and then got caned?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure caning hurts badly, right? There's got to be something about caning, but it was always hard for me to wrap my head around that story about why I was fighting it. I was like, just go get spanked, dude. Like, I got spanked all growing up. I'm sure the cane hurts worse than the wooden spoon, but butt hurt is butt hurt and it goes away pretty quickly, right? Like, I mean, I got kicked in my butt so hard by Hezbollah. That was it was like,
It's
oh,
their preferred method of punishment.
no, I was just like, I had a bag over my head or my t-shirt over my head or whatever, and was walking to the dungeon. I was probably walking too slowly. I couldn't see anything, didn't know where I was going. And then just felt like the bang, like saw stars and just, it was a full on like soccer as hard as the dude could swing his foot out my butt. And
Did he hit the hole?
no, it was like right on the butt. He was probably wearing
Like the
combat
cheek?
boots. The whole butt. I think he was probably in boots. I mean, he was probably in military stuff. But yeah, it that hurt for like 5 minutes, and then it went away. So I always thought about that caning dude. It was just like, just take your lick. But maybe if somebody listener could call in who's been caned and describe how it actually feels, it might be good.
Now that I think about that caning story, it could have just been folklore. It could have been like the story. It came around the same time in my high school as Marilyn Manson removing his bottom two ribs so he can give himself a BJ.
Yeah, but the caning kid, I think that really happened. I don't know how many
I don't
canings
know.
it
Look it
did.
up.
I don't know how
Did
many.
it?
I don't know how many whacks he got, but I'm still curious and would like to know how bad caning hurts. Like, is
So
caning like a terrible, torturous pain, or is it like an elevated spanking?
okay, so what I'm saying is, I believe somebody's been caned in Singapore. I'm not sure that the guy spit out, he's a tourist who's there, spit out his gum, and he ends up getting caned.
No, no, he did. He did.
Okay.
Because he was like his parents were diplomats or something. He was like living there, and I mean, there was the big whole thing about it. But yeah, he got his licks.
There's
I need
got
to
to be
find
more to
him.
the story, though. Like, he had to be like graffitiing and spit out his gum, or maybe he had a track record or
I
something. I
think he
just
was a
can't
jerk.
imagine.
I
Yeah.
think he was a jerk, but
Or maybe he spit out his gum and then the police officers tried to apprehend him and he told them to F off or something.
there was
Like, I can't
probably
imagine.
extenuating circumstances. But I still want to know how caning feels
So I don't know why, but I learned about caning at some point.
from this kid.
I think, well, it was definitely related to that. I did one extra layer of research, and what it is they get the bamboo stick or the cane, I guess, and they cut it so it's split. So it has a little bit of like whiplashing
Yeah,
action to it. And so and it goes bare butt. That's the other thing. So it's
sure.
bare butt with this whipping motion, and that clapping of the bamboo sometimes can pinch your skin at the same time and create cuts.
I get that it would hurt. I get that it does hurt. All I'm saying is I've been kicked in the butt as hard as somebody could kick somebody in the butt. I could see how a whipping
Yeah.
would hurt worse than that
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
on your butt. Like I could see if they were hitting your thighs, I could see that being like really torturous. But your butt, I feel only has so much capacity for actual pain. It's like your butt goes up to like 40% on a pain meter and it just can't go higher than that. Like no matter what you're whacking it with, it's just like, oh yeah, ouch, ouch, that hurts my butt. But it's only goes so far.
Well, I think this indicates that Singapore wasn't actually trying to enforce the maximum amount of pain. Like they
Yeah.
know of other torture methods. They could rip your fingernails out. These are all
Yeah.
well proven over and documented. Their method was we
Thanking.
want a light punishment. We want you to feel shame and to understand you did something wrong, but we don't want you to live with this the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, I would take a caning, I think, unless a listener calls in and says, no, I've been caned. It is the worst thing on earth. I would way rather take a quick caning. I mean, as a kid, I preferred unfortunately, I had them both 9 times out of 10, both a long lecture and a spanking, and like jail time sitting in room and a grounding. So I didn't get to pick my poison. But if I could have picked my poison, I would have taken spanking over lecture or sitting in the room or grounding every day of the week.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, look, your wife might be willing to deliver a caning. I'm sure she's eager at times in your marriage. So set one aside, and next time you misbehave,
It,
drop the drawers.
send me the details on on what you actually do, how you split it and whatnot, how you get the whipping motion. I feel getting the proper cane is essential.
She's gonna make you go out and choose your own switch, which is extra shame. By the way, a month ago, you also referenced, or 2 months ago, the Hezbollah story. And I just presume everybody's been listening to every word we've ever said. And so they've
Yeah.
heard you tell the story or they've read the books or whatever. But somebody on YouTube was like, what? Say more of that. So do you want to just give the quick under explanation?
I mean, was in Lebanon covering I think it was 2012. Was it 2012? It's all blurs. 2012 when Israel invaded Lebanon, going after Hezbollah grabbed 3 Israeli soldiers who Hezbollah said crossed the border. Israel said they didn't, but it was in a disputed territory, blah, blah, blah. Went to cover the war for Al Gore back then, had Current TV. Do you remember Current TV, David Lee
I
Scales?
do.
Current
Yeah.
TV. So went to cover the war for Current TV and was there covering the war for like 3 weeks. Yeah, always was going into trouble and eventually got grabbed by Hezbollah. And uh,
Say more about that, the grabbing itself.
yeah, I mean, we were
They
on
were
motor scooters.
kidnapping journalists.
No, we were just on motor scooters and there was I mean, trying to figure out how to be a war correspondent on the fly was interesting. Like, obviously we didn't have satellite trucks and stuff like that, like CNN had to
Right.
broadcast back home. So we were shooting on videotape, uh, but we had to get the tape out. And so, but Beirut, all the airports in Lebanon had been bombed, or I think the only international one was probably Beirut, and that had been bombed. So no flights going in and out of Beirut. So we figured out, okay, well, we got to get it to Damascus. So Damascus is probably like, I don't know, 2.5 hours away by car, maybe a little more. But we got motor scooters because all the roads were bombed out. So we needed something we could carry over the craters. So got motor scooters, took our tapes to Damascus, delivered them to the DHL, went back to Beirut, and there was a bombing happening right then in the where Hezbollah's neighborhood is. So Buddy and I saw the bombing happening, and yeah, it's just like thinking you can fight fire with a garden hose, I suppose. You're like, oh, let's get in there to get the story where the bombs are falling. So rode our scooters in, almost got taken out by a bomb, like concussion zone, blasted back as we were trying to get out. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, which there was a Palestinian refugee camp off to the side of where Hezbollah's main neighborhood is. They grabbed us. They thought we were targeting for, I don't know what the PLO thought we were doing, but they grabbed us, or kids actually grabbed us first. A bunch of like, or not kids, but Palestinian guys they were trying to take us into the refugee camp, I think to probably kill us. I jumped off the scooter. Buddy followed. The PLO grabbed us, threw us in a shed. A big mob started gathering outside. PLO said, "We're keeping you safe here. We'll let you go when this mob calms down. They think you guys are doing something." But then they got the call. Hezbollah wants you. So sorry about it. Nothing we can do. Hezbollah came in, slapped the orange juice out of our hands, and off we went to the dungeon.
Um, did you think they were going to kill you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, when we got in, like, yeah, I mean, got into the back of the car, they put like, or I guess when we were still in the shed, they, I think the PLO guys had got us juice. So sitting there sipping my juice while the mob is banging on the door outside. PLO or Hezbollah comes in, slaps the juice right out of the hand, like shatters on the ground, rips t-shirt overhead, uh, marches us to their car waiting outside, and just sat there with pistols next to our temples while we drove to the dungeon. And I thought, this is it. I'm done.
I mean, you tell the story with a cadence that feels sprightly and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I wasn't dead.
well, yeah, now you know, but at the time, I mean, were you horrified?
Yes, uh, clearly, but I was also with Josh, my best buddy, and he's got a real good gallows humor. And so once we were in the dungeon, like we weren't talking obviously in the car. Once they threw us in the same dungeon, and I realized I was with him, he cracked a joke straight away. Uh, and he talked about yeah, like 'cause our t-shirts were all stretched out. So we took our, t-shirts off. They were just like ballooning around us. He's like, "Oh, look, we have Hezbollah dresses to go to the Hezbollah dance." And that really made me laugh. And then I just thought, okay, might as well not be grim in the face of death. If we're gonna die, why go down crying about it?
And how long were you there and how did you ultimately get released?
We were probably sitting in the dungeon for like 3 or 4 hours, and then they brought us. I think we probably went into the bomb zone like it probably early afternoon, and then it was I don't know what time it was, but late or well after dark. They brought us out, drove us to some safe house, and they'd brought some English speaker over to interrogate us. But Buddy and I both knew some Arabic, and so they interrogated us for a good I don't know, probably 5 hours or something. The guy would keep going out of the room and then coming back. There was all these elders sitting around listening, like full beard, serious Hezbollah elder bros. And I think they both, I think what they do is they listen to your Arabic really carefully. There's a certain kind of Arabic that gets taught at the CIA school, which is in Monterey, where they do their linguistic training. And so my Arabic is a real mash of Egyptian and Yemeni. Josh's was a mash of like academic and Yemeni. And so they could tell from our Arabic that we weren't CIA at least, or didn't train at the school, that language school. And then we started talking about they had Quranic verses on the wall. So we were talking about that, and then they realized, okay, these guys know something of the Quran. And then it got kind of looser, and at the end, they just, I guess, believed us. And I mean, if the shoe would have been on the other foot, if we had been Hezbollah and been captured by some kind of Americans, they would have dusted us for sure. But these guys were cool and fed us at the end. Got our scooters back from the Palestinian kids, and yeah, told us don't come back. But off we went.
Crazy.
Yep.
What a unlikely ending.
Yeah, it was great. No, we got hugs at the end. I mean, they literally walked us out and they just said, like, this is, it's dangerous in
Get out
this
of here.
in their neighborhood. Don't come back here to our neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't it make you feel so foolish and naive to think like that you can just gallivant about? Like the way we were raised, we just think it's kind of there. We don't understand what an actual threat is. You know what I mean? And so it'd be like taking a domesticated house cat and putting it in the Brazilian Amazon or something like that. And so you wander into these scenarios and realize quickly, like, oh shoot, this is
But
a legit threat.
yeah, but we also got out, right? Like, I mean, I think our stories, they had known we had been to Yemen. They knew all this stuff about us. They had gotten our passports. They'd and just talking and realizing, okay, we have common cause. We are not common cause, but there is a common ground here between us, and reaching that level, all the stuff we've done. So it didn't feel just like, oops, we made a mistake. It felt not, we had gotten caught, but we had also, then we could use everything we had, education, experience, travels, all of this to figure out how to get out.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. I've never been to that part of the world, but I have been to like third world countries or deep India and stuff like that, where there is just a certain level of real, real legitimate
Con-
health
I,
threat.
I
And
mean, there's consequences. I think going in naively without thinking there's consequence, being like a disaster tourist or whatever, that's
yeah,
stupid and
yeah,
silly. Like,
no,
oh, I'm going to
totally.
do it for YouTube or whatever is asinine.
Well, I don't want to, me even telling this story right after yours almost puts it in the same echelon, but I don't mean to do that at all. This was not nearly as big of a threat, but some buddies and I went down to Baja, um, maybe right before COVID. So maybe like 2019 era. And we were going to the Guadalupe Valley. There's a wine region just outside of Ensenada. And, it's great, like phenomenal restaurants, wineries, that sort of thing. But there happened to be a traveling carnival circus kind of thing. So there was carnies, And these are traveling gypsies, basically,
Yeah.
and in Baja, no less. And so a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, pull over, let's check it out." And it wasn't like at night when they're doing their show, it was just like during the day where the carnies are like sleeping it off. And they have their caravans kind of in a circular thing. And so he's really gruff. He's like from Chicago. He's got like this very stereotypical Chicago way of being, and he just barges into like where the caravans are. And I think he was going to like ask, what time does the show start? How much are tickets? Whatever it is. But he's also loud and obnoxious. And so he just barges in. And like, I realize one person approaches from the front to draw our attention. And then I kind of glance over my shoulders and realize there was carnies coming out of their caravans from all angles behind us. And they had us surrounded. And they were just worried that we were a threat.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that. We're just completely oblivious.
Just
And
wanting
then
to show.
and my buddy, yeah, exactly. My buddy is totally oblivious to the people surrounding us from behind. And I glance and I notice one guy's got like a black eye and the other guy's like holding something in his hand. And I'm like, oh, dude, like we're now in peril.
Yeah.
And then they were sussing us out. And I think pretty quickly they figured out like, oh, we're just oblivious and we're not a threat. And he then starts engaging in conversation with the guy, like, "Hey, what time is the show or whatever?" And I was like, "Hey, dude, let's just get out of here. Like, forget about it. We don't want to go to the show anyways. Let's just go. Let's go. Let's go." And we slipped out pretty easily and harmlessly, but it came together so quick.
I bet it was a good show. Black
That's a thing. So later
Black
in the
Eye
day,
Carney.
he's like, "No, I really want to go."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Bro, I sussed that out pretty quick. We do not want to be there." He's like, "No, no, no, we should really go. That we can get tickets." I'm like, "No."
Yeah. Ooh.
You're right. It probably was a good show. I
Yeah.
probably should have went.
Right. Wow. That's probably. Did you ever remember? Love the movie. Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. I wonder if it was like that. If you were going to go to the Titty Twister.
Titty twist.
Remember those? Wasn't that what the bar was called on the
Totally. It's
border?
like shooting flames out
Yeah.
of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Salma Hayek was the main event.
It was so good.
Salma Hayek has aged unbelievably gracefully, by the way.
Yep. The finest of wines.
Totally. Let's get back into surfing. How are you doing on time today?
I'm great.
Okay, cool. Listener inquiry. This hit home for me. I don't know how much it will for anybody else, but he said, "Hey, DLS and Chaz, I wanted to run something by you both. Growing up surfing in the crowded lineups of Southern California, I was constantly influenced by those around me, my surfing buddies, the local legends that I wanted to impress, and the pros I idolized in magazines and on VHS tapes. Like most kids, validation came first and foremost from the outside, and this heavily influenced who I was as a surfer. I not only wanted to rip, but I wanted everyone else to know that I ripped. As a result, I approached each wave as if everyone was watching. Fortunately, during my college years, I was able to move to a place where I could experience the occasional empty surf session, not just free of other surfers, but empty of people entirely. There were no parking lots, no beachgoers lounging around, and not even trails along the cliffs. Long walks and lengthy paddles were required to catch a few empty waves that break softly along sandstone reefs and peel into deep channels. It was during these solo sessions that I learned how to surf for myself with the unexpected relief of no one watching. I found myself doing very little other than standing on the board. I'd make the least amount of movement possible and trim until I was forced to reposition my board back into the pocket. No showboating, no ripping, no feigned stylish body positioning, just paddle, stand up, set a line, and glide. Maybe I'd place a hand over a lip line and feel the wave glide beneath my palm, but that was it. Looking back over 4 decades of surfing, I can say that those sessions are the best of my life. And I actually had the most fun I've ever had on a surfboard. So here's my question for you both. How would you surf if nobody was watching? Thanks for your time, and I look forward to hearing your honest thoughts on this question. Keep work, Matt in San Diego. P.S. For all of my soulful musings, I will still burn a kook if they try to backpedal me at my local spot. Some things never change.
Good job, Matt. Keep that going. Keep that alive.
I was raised this exact same way in Southern California, crowded lineups, and always for the first 20 years, I would say, of my surfing life, always surfing with the thought of eyes on me at all times. And that tremendously influenced the surfing that I was doing.
I grew up absolute opposite in Oregon all by myself without anyone even close. Come down here to Southern California for summer vacation and, be able to kind of surf at Santa Cruz and Pismo and a little bit down in Carlsbad or whatever. But uh, I would take everything that I thought I was learning back by myself. And then you just develop a real wacky style, I will say. Like surfing alone without that, I feel you and Matt's experience of trying, like knowing how to get better, knowing how better looks uh, in the lineup. Because it's one thing to watch, a surf video or something and try to emulate that. It's another thing to be in the lineup and seeing the way people surf and looking up to people and thinking, okay, I'm going to try that, or I'm seeing where he's hitting the wave here. Void of that, I was left with the wackiest style ever that I will never be able to repair. But I truly love the way surfing feels. But
Well,
I'll never be any even close to good.
well, once you were in a lineup where you knew people were watching, did that add pressure to you?
No, because I can only surf one way. The ship had already sailed on me. I think that those kinds of what like hockey stick improvements that you get in ability only can come when you're young, I feel, right? Like if you are not improving from, vastly improving in your early teenage years, you're definitely not going to vastly improve in your 30s and 40s.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Like you'll have
I,
incremental improvement, but you won't like start ripping all of a sudden.
well, I maybe Matt's point is maybe being lost on you a little bit because I wasn't improving by watching other people. I was only ever trying to be like them and not be like myself.
But
And
did you surf better? Did it make you surf better, do you think?
I think I
Technically?
surfed way worse. I think for those first 20 years, I absolutely would have been better off not having any of that pressure on me at all. I imposed that pressure. The reality is nobody was really watching me because I wasn't ripping. If I was
Yeah.
a unbelievable surfer, then maybe it would draw eyeballs. But in my mind, it was like I was almost only doing it for them. I must have enjoyed surfing enough because I continued doing it, and obviously it's become my life.
Yeah.
Uh, but I felt a tremendous amount of pressure to perform at all times. Again, self-imposed, and it definitely wasn't me being David. It was me
Trying to be
trying to
someone
be
else.
that guy over there, trying to do
Okay.
what that guy did, and it developed the worst portions of my surfing probably as a result.
Yeah, I mean, the truth I feel with surfing is, for me at least, or my truth with it is, the thing I remember is like remembering a ride or even a session or even a day that is virtually impossible for me. But there is one I can remember almost clearly, I feel, and it may be hypocritical at this point, but remembering the first time that I actually found glide, that I was in the pocket and started pumping. And for me, that's always the feeling that I'm chasing is whatever like cool bottom turn, as good a top turn as I can get, a choppy roundhouse cutback, even trying to get little barrels. Like my favorite thing is just that when you start to get in that flow, right?
Yeah.
Which is and that's what I always just chase.
Get on the mid length.
But the
That'll
flow
get you
mid-length
there.
flow feels good. And I had a good wave the other day on that mid-length. But I still like the shortboard flow the best. I like the shortboard pump better than anything.
I went through the exact same metamorphosis that Matt is talking about, where obviously I explained my first 20 years, but then the subsequent 10 years has been relinquishing any care about any of that at all and trying to do less, basically. Um, and so I very much relate to where he found that in college. And so his question that he posed to us is, how would you surf if no one was watching? And if I answer that, it's releases a lot of tension in my shoulders and everywhere else. When I think people are watching, I automatically tense up a little bit and I get a little bit stiff. And when I think, okay, literally no one is around, like let's just say I'm transplanted somewhere with nobody around and I paddle out by myself and I know there's no humans within a 50-mile radius, what would I do? Oh my gosh, like I'm loose. And
Yeah.
I would just cruise into waves. I know I could catch waves. I know I can get to my feet and I know I can surf. So I would all that tension is gone. I would just cruise into waves, get up, try to do a bottom turn and try to go as fast as I can and do what you're talking about. Try to find trim, find glide, go as fast as I can. And once I'm going as fast as I can, I would turn the
Slow down.
board onto the rail and try to do
Yeah.
a turn. That's
Yeah.
it. You know, like
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I would do. Whereas if I'm at the pier and everybody's out and I all of a sudden am in position for a wave, it's like, oh, well, I better rip this wave so everybody knows that I rip so that I can go back out and assert dominance over this crowd.
Yeah. Oh man. Oof. Bad feeling that.
I know, and it makes me tense, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, I mean, wow, this is going to sound super cliche and cheesy, but surfing is a metaphor for life, you know? Like I keep finding ways that surfing is a metaphor for life. And that's the same thing. It's like, forget about the ego, forget about anybody paying attention to anything you're doing and just do what you're naturally inclined to do. And all of a sudden the tension goes away in life.
And, and also then just don't care what, like, it's not for
Exactly.
them anyway. So whatever
Yeah.
they say, I was down in Nicaragua, I don't know, it's 6 years ago, 7 years ago or something, surfing. And there's two guys who paddle out, like a little bit younger than me, or maybe, I don't know, 10 years younger than me, whatever. So were surfing. And eventually they said, "Are you Chaz Smith?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they said, "Man, uh, we thought there was no way that it could be you because you surf so bad." And like with a laugh, of course, I said, "Yep, I am not a good surfer. I am not good at it, but it's like I am free from any kind of expectation. Like I'm having fun, doing my best."
I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
That is so funny. All right. Well, thank you for that, Matt. That was a nice little exercise to go through. And
Yeah, Matt.
there's a Leanne Womack song written about this exact thing. Dance like no one's watching, right? Isn't that what that song was
Yeah,
about?
it sure
I
is.
hope you dance.
Sure is.
Was it about no one watching though?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
just like
Okay.
UBU. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, man, Matt, you can become a songwriter with that
can.
submission. I want to follow up on a Kook and Curren that came in a couple of weeks ago where Chris in Maine was like not checking the waves.
Yes.
You're either Kook, not checking the waves, or you're a Curren, but there's no intermediate. And we said, you know what? We're not sure on this one. Intermediates, if you call it and let us know. Turns out a bunch of intermediates don't check the waves. So this cannot be officially in the Kook and Curren status.
But funny enough, just the other day, I thought about this because I went surfing without checking the waves at all. Like I saw the wind coming up. The wife had been on Surfline, like, but like I had no knowledge. I just came home and said, "We're going surfing." She's like, "Uh," and I could tell from her that it probably wasn't great, but I was like, "I don't care. I don't care." Literally pulled into the parking lot, got dressed, didn't even look over the fence to see anything. Just I'm going surfing no matter what, so I don't care. I'm going down and surfing.
It's actually a good move. Now that I think about it, like no expectations. Just I need
No,
to get in the
I
water.
need to get in the water. No matter
Yeah.
what, I'm going to paddle. I'm going to move my arms. I just need it. I need
I
the
need the
rinse off.
rinse. Yeah,
It's
the
here we
rinse.
go.
Need to rinse life off. Well, this one occasionally, because people don't listen to every single word we've ever said on air,
Ah,
things come up time and time again. And this one I'm going to play for you, but it has already been submitted and it already has been canonized.
Hey, this is Jordan calling in from Haleiwa on the North Shore of Oahu. I'm calling today with a Kook or Curren submission. The situation is treating or maintaining your surfboards like shit. I think that the Kook one's pretty obvious. The impetus for my call is watching the pros on the North Shore just pile their brand new boards into the back of the truck like it's nothing. Meanwhile, I'm putting a board sock on and keeping my boards pristine. Anyway, keep up the work.
Yeah. So that came in. Obviously, wasn't listening 5 years ago when we discussed it, but we have already canonized disrespecting
Canonized
your surfboards.
is a Kook move and a Curren move.
Yeah. Anybody else, anybody. And now the caveat to this is I respect the ones that are in current rotation. The ones that are
Yes.
kind of already been put aside don't necessarily get the same love.
You respect the surfboard you're currently riding,
Yeah.
which the pros aren't doing that. Neither are Kooks doing that. But you or I, anyone intermediate, is respecting the surfboard they are currently upon.
I mean, Kolohe and Dino punching it or Jordy Smith missing when he's trying to punch it are the pinnacle examples of this on the
Yes.
pro level.
Yes.
I interviewed Kolohe, by the way. I'm going to publish it, I think, today. I've
Was it a
been
good
trying to
one?
publish it this week. Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, it's very good. I like Kolohe.
Kolohe is a entirely likable dude. Kolohe has theoretically would have everything going to make him unlikable. Former child prodigy, son of a professional surfer, grew up, gilded with got the grew up through the boom of surf industry, was sponsored by Target, Nike, uh, every blue chip. He was, Corpo Andino. Uh, and is just a great, funny, introspective dude.
I asked him that about like, how do you maintain being grounded? Like, why are you so grounded? Um, and he attributes it to his parents and the way that they raised him. But I'm apprehensive to talk too much about my thoughts on the chat before it goes out there because
Yeah,
I'd rather people form their own opinions. So maybe we can discuss it a little bit more next week because
definitely. Go listen.
I definitely have thoughts.
Great.
Like I like him better personally than I expected to from my exposure to him for 15 years, but I also think there's real areas for improvement for him personally. I
Okay.
almost want to like pull him aside as a friend, even though we're not friends, and just be like, dude, like you need, you should have more self belief kind of thing. And like, so I'll get into it more next week, but
Let's definitely can't wait to talk Kolohe next week.
yeah, but I am a big fan. Okay, let's go to commercial break and we will be back with Barrel or Not. Chaz, welcome back.
Can't wait to get into some barrels or nas. Are we going to do live barrel or not at the belly up?
Absolutely. We will have to introduce the concept to Rusty because I don't think he's ever listened.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of crafting the barrel. I want really good ones.
Yeah, I know. Has to be pristine. None of these can be duds.
Exactly. And I'm almost inclined to pull some out of the archive that have been like iconic on the show to
Yep.
hear Rusty's take on them. Kind of.
Great idea. I mean, we should do a special, we could do a geriatric barrel or not with Rusty and Devin Howard's mom. We could run through some of the all-star barrel or nas and just see what the elders think about it.
I would love to get Karen on stage to do
Yep.
barrel or not.
Yep.
I'll float the idea and see if she's open to it. I don't want to put her on the spot, but if she's open to it, that would be incredible.
Be amazing.
This live show is going to be worth its
Yep.
$25 price tag.
Go to bellyyup.com.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Barrel or not, Chaz? Shaking the plumber's hand after he completes the job.
Barrel. A handshake is a barrel in every single circumstance, I feel.
But you understand the conundrum here.
I completely get it, but that's when there's two things at play here. Number one, don't be a sissy in the face of potential disease. B, take your inoculation. That plumber's hands have been so many places and there are so many weird bugs on there that you give to your body in a little small dose. And next pandemic, maybe you'll be fine. Maybe you'll already be inoculated against the poo-poo touch. And number three really has to be reiterated. A man who doesn't shake hands, all through COVID, I was making so many judgments, perpetual judgments on the dude. If I would approach, there was that time in COVID where nobody, like, it was just impolite to even attempt. But at the wane of COVID, when people were getting back to normal, it's such an instinct for me to go up, handshake right away. The people that I would the men, I would extend an open palm to and have them counter with either a fist bump or step back, uh, or elbow or any of that kind of stuff. I would take my mental notebook out and say weakling, 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 on down. If you are afraid of germs and you're a man, you are a weakling. Unless there's some, I'll give a caveat, like you are in the midst of cancer treatment and you're,
Sure.
you
Yeah, yeah.
like whatever, you just can't, you literally can't get, but anything else than that, you're a big old baby, man up, shake a hand.
It's so funny. A listener emailed me this one 3 days ago, and I had a plumber at the house 6 days ago. And the email came through, and I'm like, oh my God. I literally had this confrontation in my brain when the plumber finished the job 6 days ago. He was a nice guy. We were chatting throughout the thing. I would normally shake his hand under any other circumstance. And then he completed the task, and a thought raced through my brain. I'm like, is he going to try to shake my hand? And sure enough, he reaches his arm out, and I was like, oh no. And I went ahead and I shaked it. And it was the weirdest texture of this kind of grizzled, scaly hand, like a guy who really works with his hands in the elements all day. So it's calloused and grizzled and wet and moist at the same time. But it
Great.
was like in between the cracks and fissures of callus, it was soft and moist. And it was like all in one as he gripped my hand. And I was like, oh my gosh.
You can thank this dude when you are one of the last few, and the plumbers are the only ones standing during the next apocalypse. When you got everybody is dead from little sicknesses that they didn't inoculate against, but you shaking that plumber's hand, survive.
Let's hope that's
Yep.
where this ends. I thought I
Yep.
was gonna like not wake up the next morning, and my wife would wonder, and she doctors would be flummoxed.
Nope.
Um,
Stronger than ever.
well, I'm not one to really like be too concerned about germs. I will eat stuff that fell in the parking lot on the ground, whatever. I immediately washed my hand. As soon as he left, I like didn't touch a doorknob. I didn't touch anything. I just
Just
went in
scrub
there
your
and
hand.
like washed my hand.
You should have went and grabbed a bag of chips and
No.
just started eating.
Chips are off my New Year's diet.
Ooh.
Unfortunately. Barrel or not, coming in from a listener, hair transplants.
So
And
no barrel. No
so,
barrel.
so thank you for answering immediately. But I will also say he referenced Paul Fisher. He's like, in light of Paul Fisher's recent posts. And I'm like, did Paul Fisher get hair transplants? Every time Paul Fisher shows up on my Instagram feed, I scroll past it as fast as I can. I should just unfollow. But then I looked, and sure enough, he's
He
got a
did.
head of hair now. So I don't,
He
did
got hair
he?
transplants. Yeah, he was not even shy about it. He fully
Oh, okay.
announced it on Instagram. Oh, the hair, however he did it in his funny Paul Fisher way. But yeah, hair transplants and absolutely no barrel. Like your hair journey is what it is. And we've gone over iterations of this throughout, right? Throughout our years together. And I'm a firm believer that your hair is what it is. When your choices are, I feel the only choices you really have is when it goes bald. Are you going to cul-de-sac or are you going to bick it, right? Or are you going to shave close or whatever? Like variations of cutting is all you can do as a dude, I feel. Anything else, I'm even going to say any Rogaine, any like overt care, any worry about losing hair, that is out of your control entirely. So why spend 1 second worrying about it? Happens to a bunch of people. It's no sign or symbol of anything. Like a full head of hair, maybe used to represent virality, or maybe still, you see a Brad Pitt or like I saw something in, I don't know, the tabloids about wow, all these guys' hairs look so good because they're like perpetually fiddling with it, right? They're whatever it is. I didn't read below the headline, but assuming it's like HGH for your hair or some transplanting, or they're really, really fixated on their hair. Man, I was just thinking that all those brain cells spent thinking about this who cares thing. You as a dude, if you're a woman going bald, I would think, okay, that's trouble because now you're not very many women go bald, right?
Yeah.
Men, everyone's going bald all over. Nobody's going to think twice about it. Wear a stinking hat. Wear a hat all the time if you want.
I agree. I'm no barrel on hair transplants. Initially, I was like, the technology isn't good enough yet for it to actually fool anybody. So you can almost tell every time somebody's had hair transplants. But when I looked at Paul Fisher's feed, his hair looks like normal hair. I thought that the listener must have been mistaken and Paul just grew his hair back.
No, I think Elon Musk is like a full hair transplant bro. I
I
think,
didn't know that.
yeah, like I think the technology is such now that it looks fully natural. I mean, I think it is. I think it's your hair.
Well, I agree with you despite that because I think you trying to do anything that it isn't looks silly. So
Yes,
if you are balding and then you do the comb over, it looks silly. If you're coloring it as a male, especially, it looks silly. So it you have to just embrace what it is. And to be perfectly honest, even though I said Paul Fisher's hair looks natural, it does look silly.
it looks silly.
The
I
way that
mean,
he has it cut or styled is like it looks
silly.
it's probably his only option, actually, now that I think about it. He's not able probably to grow it to a, I don't know what, to a certain length or whatever. So he's limited options in how he styles it. And so it looks like a silly little kid's haircut.
I mean, I feel that a nice, manly, masculine trait is not caring about superficial things. And so I think the sexiness maybe you lose in if you're going bald or whatever, you regain if you just like dominate the look. If you have no care at all and are out there just being you, not caring, that's way better than caring.
Well, the final barrel or not is going to hit you right between the eyes based on what you just said. But before we get to it, I have a final thought on the hair thing. It relates to what you said at the opening of the show about that sweater you're wearing, where you're
Yes.
like, I just wait. You said it might be a mental disease. I
Yeah.
think it's the opposite, where you hear about Einstein and Steve Jobs, where they just said, I have the same thing I wear every single day. I don't want to waste one iota of brain power trying to decide what I'm going to wear today. I have bigger fish to fry. And so it's the same thing every day from here on out. Never going to think about it again.
That's why I want my bend toward my hopeful bend at the end is just the suit, right? Because you wake up, you put on a suit, off you go. Like you can have four different suits, but you're not thinking, you're just grabbing whichever suit out of the closet. That's where I want
Yeah.
to end up.
And so that relates to the hair thing where it's like, this is what God gave me. This is what I'm rocking. Never
Yep.
thinking about it.
Here we go.
Okay. Well, final barrel or not coming right between the eyes from a listener. You two, barrel or not, you two's constant obsession with trying to define a man's man.
No barrel. No, I'm going to say barrel. I'm going to say in the day and age of Justin Baldoni, uh, what's his podcast called?
I have no idea.
Guy's Guy? Man's Guy? New
I don't
Man?
know. I
Something.
could look it up. I didn't know he
Yeah.
had a podcast.
Justin Baldoni has a podcast. So those who don't know, Justin Baldoni is, I guess, an actor director who acted and directed the film that came out this summer called "It Ends with Us," starring Blake Lively, which turned into a giant junk show of accusations and accusations. Where in yeah, Blake Lively accused Justin Baldoni of being inappropriate. He accused her of bullying him, said she has a bad nose. Justin Baldoni, if that dude is anywhere related to what a Austin thinks is a man, we need to disavow that notion every single day. And I think we are doing the hard yards of defining it in a not our grandparents' way, but continuing to hold that flame a little bit of this is what men do, right? They don't grumble, they don't complain, they shake hands, they don't worry about the hair. All of these tenets, I think, are essential. Otherwise, you end up with a damn Justin Baldoni.
See, though, it's a real paradox because we just got done saying, don't try hard, overthink it, just go with what you got. And yet we are constantly trying hard to assign value to masculine traits and live up to them.
We are doing the work for the dear listener, and the dear listener is doing the work when they're calling in with questions, furthering the dialogue. Once again, I just can't end up Justin Baldoni. I don't want Justin Baldoni, a dude who sues a woman because she allegedly made fun of his nose on set or whatever the other complaints are. It's so ridiculous. He is such a piece of like out of children's slime, that there's glitter slime, that no, we have to fight that to the dying light.
I'll get to Justin Baldoni in a second. But when I first got this barrel and off submission, I was a little embarrassed. I'm like, man, yeah, you're right. That's cringy. Why are we trying to define the man's man so frequently? And then I thought a layer deeper and I thought there's nothing embarrassing about that. You're always taking from growing up until whatever, you're always taking cues and trying to aim towards a North Star in life, for to be happy, to be financially stable, whatever it is, you need cues and you need a North Star. And so I think that that is actually important with gender as well. Like, how does how do we fit into society? Where is society? What are successful traits for a society? And what is my role in that? And then just keep aiming and adjusting towards that. And so there are things that I get caught up in that are super frivolous and a waste of time. And I want to keep those in check. And so
Yes.
that's what these constant conversations are about for me.
That's what I mean. It's true, and it is evolving, right? Like
Totally.
what is manly, whatever today, is different than what it was for our grandparents, different what it was for our parents, and but just kind of keeping a finger on that pulse, I think, is important.
Totally agree. Uh, I think also, as it relates to gender, maintaining masculinity and testosterone and all of that stuff is vital for the species. You know what I mean? So, like, reminding us verbally here to not be a sloth and wasting time on the couch and maybe focus on a little bit of diet or exercise or whatever it is to maintain your virality is essential.
Yeah, don't be a big old baby.
It's
Don't
not,
be a
yeah,
Baldoni.
nothing to be embarrassed about. As it relates to Baldoni, I have not thought about this on the front of my mind. Like, I read the news stories and I ingest it, but I haven't really actually formulated thoughts until you started talking about it right now. And I haven't discussed it at all with anybody, but it has been unbelievably cringy for me to watch these news stories. And when the movie first came out, there was controversy. I remember
I thought it
Lauren
was
had
all
read
fake. I thought it was all fake
me.
to promote the movie.
So me too. So Lauren had read the book and I think her sisters did too. So then they all went to go see the movie together when it came out. And there were news stories about Blake Lively's lack of interaction, I think, in the press conferences. And and then Lauren's like telling me about it. And I'm like, you realize this is all just a PR stunt, right? This
Yeah.
is all meant to drum up interest in the film. And that was my only take on it. And then after the film came out, all of a sudden or after the film went out of theaters, quiet for a while, then it came back on Netflix, and all of a sudden there's these lawsuits being filed. And I'm like, well, this is more PR
PR.
stunt to get the Netflix views or whatever. Um, and then I actually read into or heard more deep news stories about what these allegations are. It's legit. These people are serious and they're suing each other for hundreds of millions of dollars because they're actually offended or aggrieved about these actions that took place. When you look into the actions, I'm like, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing that it's on a public level and it's being displayed. And I have no idea how you assign $400 million to that level of grief.
I mean, especially his, like Blake
I,
Lively's sexual harassment stuff. Like, I am not about to throw a stone there, but his in terms of, she brought one of his complaints is she brought Taylor Swift into a room to like make him feel belittled or something. I mean,
yeah,
it's absolutely ridiculous. He seems like a clown of a dude, but he does. Well, like, what's his podcast called? It's like
it's a man enough.
a man enough. Yeah. So it's like news. So if he's out there doing this crap about how to be the new sensitive man, then you and I better be doing the opposite thing of Justin
Totally.
Baldoni kick rocks.
Well, when you look into Blake Lively's claims, I agree with you. Totally legit. And also, like, one step further in the Harvey Weinstein kind of way of doing business, less overt than
Yeah.
Weinstein. When I say one step further, I mean more subversive, not
Yeah.
not more
More
aggressive.
sophisticated.
Exactly. Yeah. And so good for her for kind of putting a stop to this and not engaging in the press tour and all that sort of stuff because she's putting her foot down. And I'm glad like she detailed it. She took record, I mean, she documented it while it was happening. So she has proof of all of these things, right? his lawsuit seemed punitive. It was like, oh, you're going to call me out? Well, guess what? Now I'm going to call you out. But in a punitive way that doesn't have any of the documentation and is all just his feelings being hurt.
It was one of his beefs is that Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, as Deadpool, he thinks made fun of him like
In the film?
in some promo or something, that there was some subtle jab. So getting made fun of, having your nose made fun of, whatever, like his beef is absurd, where I don't know how you look yourself in the mirror in the morning, back to being a man's man, and think, oh yeah, I'm a dude and this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go sue a woman because she made fun of my nose.
He's an embarrassment.
Such an embarrassment.
Like, I'd never heard of his name before this film
Me.
came out. So I guess that bodes well for him. Now we all know who he is, I suppose, but I can't imagine he ever works again. I would never want to participate or watch or support anything that he ever did.
Ever did. Yeah,
Yeah.
nope. Sorry,
Yeah.
Justin Baldoni.
All right. Well, I guess listeners, if you never thought, we've had some low lows in this show talking about random pop culture stuff, but here we are talking about Justin Baldoni, the new low. All right, Chaz, great show, man. I will see you on Noble Rot on Monday for our final internet performance before the live performance.
Sure will. Cannot wait. And once again, belly up. Be so fun to see all of you there. Look forward most to meeting listeners.
Yeah, come collect all this free merch we're going to be giving away too. I'm also giving away two specific like winners, but I'm going to have a table, I think, with just free stuff on it because I get like random merch from listeners or from companies and stuff that is like really cool stuff that I just don't wear.
That is epic. That's an epic hat.
This Katie Simmers Pipelines for the fucking Girls hat. I'll just throw that on the table. You can grab it for free. You know
I got some stuff too. I got a pair of Andy Irons Metallica Billabong trunks.
So let's do that. I'll bring a folding table and just free.
Great.
First come, first serve. Just take it.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, Chaz, great show. Go to Trash Pros on Instagram, beachgrid.com, at Surf Splendor on Instagram, and surfsplendorpodcast.com. And we will see you next week.
Keep working.